I was diagnosed at age 4, and first they diagnosed me with ADHD in Saginaw, Michigan, but then they recently thereafter found out I have Asperger's syndrome, which is part of the autism spectrum. It was challenging growing up as a child. I had been experiencing a lot in my life with suffering bullying and suffering labeling. Later on in high school, started reading more books and thinking about becoming a leader of my own self, because I felt if I have a voice, which I have the right to, I thought I could express the true attitude and depiction of my ability so people don't label me disabled but differently abled. Taller than your dad?
No, he's taller than me. My first memories of Xavier were just him coming up and just trying to start conversations in the hallway, particularly around like my height. You know, like I'm 6'9", so he'd come up, oh, you're so tall, and then we'd start talking, ask just how he's doing, things of that nature, and those are really like my first memories of Xavier and I interacting.
Due to the fact that I had been discriminated at in high school and I was called retarded a few times, that made me study more interesting things about diversity, inclusion, and I studied Dr. Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks by going to Henry Ford Museum, where the Rosa Parks is, and I was very much in love with that museum while I was in high school, and that motivated me to get more involved with politics, because I found out how much compatibleness there is between civil rights and politics, and autism rights are civil rights and disability rights are civil rights.
When you meet X, you immediately gravitate toward him and toward his way of thinking and some of the things that he's done, and you want to try and get in the boat with him and help in any way that you can.
I met Xavier through an ex-teammate of mine, Sheldon White, about 5 years ago. Once I talked to Xavier and found out some of the plans that he had, some of the big, bold plans that he wanted to do, it just I kind of just gravitated towards him.
In the past, I've had events with Coach Mark Antonio and Tom Izzo at Michigan State. That was my absolute first fundraiser we had in October 2018, which was the same year I got my foundation started. And I also had an event recently in 2019 in April with police to help train them on autism and start up this new idea of making a law for licensing and state IDs and driver's license.
He's not just a figurehead, he actually pushes for true public policy to get not only introduced but passed in state legislatures and coming up here in the national legislature.
Xavier came in and testified in the Transportation Committee about more autism awareness and how to engage with those in autism, and developing solid policy and actually getting a law passed in the state of Michigan.
We worked on policy together for autism advocacy. Of course, that's very important to him and very important to all of us, but Xavier's kind of been on the leading edge of advocacy for those with autism who may not be able to advocate for themselves as effectively.
On behalf of the law enforcement community, I just want to take the opportunity to thank the hard work of Xavier and his foundation for really helping guide us as law enforcement on how we should proceed in our policies, our interactions with those that have autism.
I would like to work in public service or in corporate communications, and I interned at the White House primarily for that reason.
It's really impressive that Xavier is an intern at the White House. It's tough under any circumstances, but to be the first autistic intern to be working at the White House is really a tremendous achievement.
I tell people, you get out and you sell at a job or something like that has nothing to do with autism. It makes you a better advocate. Okay, you've had your internship at the White House. That was a really, that's a great thing that you did. And you're a better advocate if you have some success that has nothing to do with autism, because then you can help the others to get involved with things where they can be successful.
He had an opportunity to come to the White House and be an intern, and with his autism, it was a challenge, but he was able to accomplish this. Myself, I was a chef working here locally in Washington, D.C. I had a chance to work at the White House, spent 13 glorious years here, serving 3 different presidents, and afterwards, yes, what the White House did for me was I wrote a book. I go out and I do speaking tours. I recreate state dinners. I get a chance to tell my story about my time at the White House that I may not have had an opportunity to have these opportunities to connect with people.
I think every experience that we have will shape us in one way or another. And certainly interning in the White House is a monumentally different type of experience than almost anybody else gets to have.
You know, he's got a very bright future. One of the things he talked with Secretary Pompeo about was the importance of possibly having a global envoy representing disabilities, representing possibly autism. And the Secretary and he had a good talk about that.
I think the fact that he was an intern at the White House helps open up people's eyes that this is a man who not only goes around hurdles, but he jumps over them as well.
He wants to take his advocacy nationally, to go to other states and on a federal level to advocate that way. And certainly, you know, he's really racked up some wins already in that regard.
He's really a persistent young man. So it was almost kind of like me being back in the day playing football, when you have to be persistent, when you have to stay at things, when you're consistently doing things. And I think that was one of the things that I kind of admired about him, you know, that he was consistent. This was something that he wanted to get done. He had big plans, and, you know, we just kind of clicked.
He's doing so much for the autistic community, but also just for the community in general, because, you know, it's on us in part to also educate ourselves and just understand that the reactions of, you know, people that are autistic sometimes may not always make sense to us, but there's a reason that they're doing what they're doing.
Xavier's a real go-getter. He gets out there, he shares his point of view, and I have only the highest expectations of what the future holds for him.